Hello, Contrarians, watchers, listeners, subscribers. Here we are with another warm-up. This one is for the opening chapter, the opening salvo of our summer event. Summer is here. We're going to be focusing our efforts on two filmmakers, two very different, very similar. We'll find out, I guess. We'll make a decision by the end of the summer. But right now, all we know is that they're from two different countries. From the US of A, Peter Bogdanovich. We're going to be tackling 6 Bogdanov films on the main feed. And then from Australia, PJ Hogan, not Paul Hogan, as it needs to be clarified. That's Crocodile Dundee. That's a different business. This is PJ Hogan, the man behind Muriel's Wedding, My Best Friend's Wedding, maybe some other wedding. We'll do 6 of his movies also this summer. We're going to be alternating. We're going to start with a Bogdanov film. So this warm-up is for The Last Picture Show. Peter Bogdanovich is, I guess, just like this is our opening salvo, this was kind of his opening salvo, or at least on the big budget level or bigger budget level. He had a couple of smaller movies that we'll talk about in the Patreon, but this was it. This was his big splash. Super fresh, Alex.
Oh, yeah.
98%.
Criterion worthy.
And that's not just us saying it. There's actually a Criterion that Alex
That's how
owns.
I watched it.
Yeah. That's a little humble brag from one Contrarian to another. But it is fresh, 98%. So that means that on the first half of the show, in Contrarian's Corner, we take it to task, we pick it apart, we nitpick it, and we say mean things about it. And then once we get to real talk, we'll say how we really feel. This warm-up is going to give you some fresh quotes that are not on the episode, some trivia that is not on the episode, and of course the Josh Gad Minute. Plop Josh Gad on this small town in Texas and see how he fares. So without further ado, let's start with the quotes. Alex, we're going to start with Paul D. Zimmerman from Newsweek, who says, "The Last Picture Show is a masterpiece. It is not merely the best American movie of a rather dreary year. It is the most impressive work by a young American director since Citizen Kane." Right off the bat.
Obvious. Obvious comparison to be made there.
Orson Welles. Pretty
sure that's referenced in some of the quotes we go over in the episode.
Yeah, just the idea that Welles. Orson Welles was sort of a mentor figure to Bogdanovich. And then at some point, as they say, the student surpassed the master. And Orson Welles didn't seem to take it very well. So, can you imagine Orson Welles reading quotes on Rotten Tomatoes and just running into this? And they're comparing.
Yes.
Would it be as entertaining as his Hot Ones meme? That is Hot Ones, right?
No. Yeah, but the idea of Orson Welles reading Rotten Tomatoes quotes is far more entertaining to me. Who the fuck is this?
It's been a long time since I watched Citizen Kane, and when I watched it, I respected it, but I didn't love it the way that so many people seem to love it. So it is very easy for me to pick a side here in the Last Picture Show versus Citizen Kane fight. When was the last time you watched Citizen Kane?
10, 15 years. I think I watched it once in college. I certainly am due a reviewing or a reviewing. And I at the time was a lot younger, and I remember thinking, I get it.
It's black and white.
Yeah.
It jumps around time. I get it.
Those movies like that are just so ingratiated by just society in general that it's hard to live up to the expectation. Casablanca is an example of a movie I watch is wow, yeah, that really is that good.
100%. Yes. I am more of a Casablanca person than a Citizen Kane person, but Kane for forever, it was number one on the what is it, Sight and Sound lists, and anywhere you ask, it's the number one movie. And then finally Vertigo, I think, took over the past few years. Anyway, Emmanuel Levy from EmmanuelLevy.com says, "This brilliant film depicts the gradual decay and death of community life, what sociologist Tennis called Gemeinschaft, lamenting the loss of intimacy and relationships as a result of TV and other forces that forever change American life." Number 1.
Blaming TV already.
Yes. I mean, we see like one TV, I think, in the movie. Like there's one scene, I think, where Sybil Shepherd is watching TV and
a lot of radio.
Yeah.
Colgate Comedy Hour.
Yes. I mean, the lady that owns the movie theater towards the end, she casually mentions that people are not coming out to the movies because of that damn Netflix and YouTube and Amazon Prime. So I don't think that that's the point that the movie is making, though. But I mean, I could be wrong. Did you feel like it was an indictment of technology and how it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. But also, I think it's funny that Emmanuel Levy, for some reason, decided to name drop a sociologist, and
oh yeah, definitely wanted you to know how smart he was with that review.
Yeah, we've quoted him before. This is the first time he struck me as particularly pretentious, but I guess it is the Last Picture Show.
Bound to happen.
Yeah. Next, David Reddish from Queerty says, with movies increasingly replaced by one-note YouTube and Instagram influencers, the movie seems to ask, are we losing dreams as well? Obviously, this is a review that was put up in the last
this is a modern
decade or so, but it's funny because at least the way it's phrased, it makes it sound like the movie is concerned with YouTube and influencers. That's
I think it was a bit out of the periphery. It was a bit too soon to be able to see where the wind was blowing.
Yeah, we never get to see Randy Quaid's TikTok in this one, so I don't think that Bogdanovich was aiming for that.
It's always interesting to retrospectively read a movie's message in like modern times. I guess that's not retrospectively, but it's interesting to modernize a movie's ideas and themes and think of how it applies to life as it is now. But then that doesn't work when you make like declarative statements of what a movie that was made 35 years before YouTube came around, what it's trying to say. You're a bit off base. You're out of your depth.
Yeah, maybe not the best phrased statement, David. But I will say this. The story of The Last Picture Show, just what you're saying, right? You could transplant it to modern times. There's still small towns in Texas and all over the United States and whatever. And maybe it's not now that the movie theater is closing down because of TV or that, there's nothing to do in this town. So the youth is kind of like wasting away. I mean, you can tell that kind of story here with modern day trappings. And I don't know if YouTube and social media.
I bring personal testimony to the episode of growing up in a small Texas town. So yeah, I can understand.
I don't know, I guess, if YouTube and TikTok, even if you were to tell the story today, if they would play such a big part, social media would be something that would be a strong force in the story. Because I think it's more about, I mean, I guess you could see all that community, all the cool kids with their phones.
We wouldn't even have Wi-Fi out there, man.
Yeah. Jeff Bridges is the only one that still has a BlackBerry or something, and a Razr phone. So yeah, I mean, I can see it. It's definitely, in that sense, the story is universal and timeless, you could say. One more, Alex. Tom Huddleston, not Tom Hiddleston, not Loki, from Time Out.
Got me for a second.
Says, the scene where Sam imparts his wisdom to young Buck Bottoms may be the saddest, loveliest moment in 1970s American cinema. And that's saying something.
Yeah, that would be a definite statement. I don't know if I'd go that far as to say it's the defining moment of 70s cinema. I think we got a few other things up there. But,
like what? The Godfather? A horse's head on a bed?
Loomis telling Michael, stop, I failed you.
No, telling Jamie Lee Curtis, as a matter of fact.
It was. Yeah. That's an endearing moment.
I mean, it's another Sam. Sam Loomis, Sam the Lion.
There you go. Perfect. Nailed it.
We go on at length about Sam the Lion and that moment in particular, and just
what does he say? What type of moment is it the best of?
The saddest, loveliest moment in 1970s American cinema.
Dog.
I think it's sad. I mean,
A New Hope came out where Obi-Wan gives Luke the final, like, it's you're the man now, dog, and then willingly accepts death. Is
Lovely.
Chinatown 70s?
I don't know. I know A New Hope is
I'm almost
79, right? 78? 77.
76.
Damn it.
Almost there. I have to verify. No, you were right. I'm sorry. It's 77.
Okay.
I don't know what I was confusing that with. Chinatown, that has to be 74. Yeah. The end of that movie is lovely and sad.
It's
So,
one of those things for sure.
mostly sad, but yeah, come on. Just movies we've done for the show. Exorcist.
Nothing lovely
I don't know
about
what.
that.
There's plenty of sadness in it, though.
Yeah, but I
And
think
I like kind of.
I think maybe what this guy, what Tom Huddleston, not Loki, is saying is that the confluence of it being sad and it being lovely, saddest, loveliest, like together, and maybe that's what is kind of hard to get. You know, you can have a sad moment, you can have a lovely moment, but sad and lovely, only Sam the Lion in The Last Picture Show.
I guess. Yeah.
I'm not well
I'm sure I
versed
can
in
come up with
70s
something.
cinema, so and I have a feeling that most of what you would throw at me would be horror movies from the 70s.
No, I'm like honestly trying to think of like moving moments. E.T., come on now.
That's
And
80s.
is it?
Yeah.
Then it has to be like A.T. 82.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
E.T.
I always view E.T. as like the bridge of the 70s to 80s, which I guess it kind of is in 1982. But all right, my bad on that one. Close Encounters, though. The end of that, dude, it's sad. Like it's his
Is it
calling,
sad?
but he's leaving his family. Yes, it's fucking sad.
I don't think he's okay. It's been a while since I watched Close Encounters, but I don't think his family wanted him around anymore. He is ready to go.
That's sad.
I mean, it
The
was
sad
sad when
existence.
an hour into the movie. By the time you get to the end, you're like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Go with the aliens. Richard Dreyfuss, that's him, right? Yeah. Well, listeners, you in the audience, hit us with the saddest, loveliest moments from the 70s. Don't be giving us some Almost Famous bullshit or anything. No, from the 70s. So you're gonna have to dig into the Coppolas and the I don't know, Marty. I'm sure Scorsese has a couple of like big 70s movies that.
I was trying to think. Jaws, one of our early episodes. I was trying to think if any moment in that movie qualifies as such.
No.
If you're
a shark,
getting eaten, going out defiantly. Yeah. Well, that helped me learn also that E.T. is 82. I always thought it was either 79 or 1980. So
there you go. Always learn something.
All of that was purposeful, just to have me learn that.
Yeah, that's really what Bogdanovich movies are for. To teach you about other filmmakers and their big hits.
There you go.
All right, those were the quotes. Alex, before we go into trivia, let's do the Josh Gad Minute. Texas, the mid-70s. No, it's not the mid-70s. So this is what, like the 40s?
Early 50s.
Early 50s. Josh Gad, the early 50s. Is
Post World War II?
Yeah. Are we casting adult Gad? Is he going to be one of the grown-ups? Or are we de-aging him using CGI, that wonderful MCU technology? Is it going to be a teenage Gad?
I don't know. There's a lot of places we could use him in this, and my immediate instinct is to have him replace Randy Quaid as like the kind of doofus Lester character, but
Naked Gad?
Quaid. Yeah, I don't know if we need all that, and Randy Quaid is also fun to kind of have as a footnote in this movie. So I honestly, I don't know. Like, do you just make him like an extra as one of the kids that has a few lines? He could have been the teacher in class that they have that one extended sequence when they're all in class together. He could play the teacher there. It just seems like this movie's so well cast. You could use Old Man Gad to replace Bill Thurman as the coach. That's
what I was thinking when you said teacher. I'm like, oh, the coach. He has a couple of good scenes. I mean,
yeah, and I think current Gad with Cloris Leachman in this movie, that could be a mesh up of believability. So I think honestly, the best bet to get the most from Gad would be making him Coach Popper in this.
Unless you want to really test his mettle and you cast him as Sam the Lion.
Yes. Then we
Trial by
risk
fire.
missing out on the saddest, loveliest moment of the 70s if we do that, though.
I mean, how do you know? He could deliver it. It could be that he rises to the occasion and knocks it out of the park, gets his first Oscar.
He has surprised us before. I mean, there's no sense in lying about that.
Yeah. Josh Gad, let us know. Do you want to go for it?
I think we're on the on the fence here between Coach Popper and Sam the Lion.
Yeah. The sure thing or the big risk. Because if you don't pull off Sam the Lion, then you're going to be the one that people are going to be talking about in a negative way. Like, man, that guy had an Oscar speech and he blew it. His Oscar clip doesn't work. So just reach out and we'll read your response in a future episode, Mr. Gad. But now, let's go to trivia.
So as you can imagine, there's a lot that comes along with a movie with this level of celebration and admiration, a lot of which we discuss in the episode, specifically the tawdry details of Peter Bogdanovich's affair with Sybil Shepherd that, well, it started as an affair on the set of this movie and became a relationship that lasted several years. So
that makes it okay.
Oh, exactly.
If it's true love, then it's okay to cheat on your wife.
Who was working on the movie,
well,
with both Peter and Sybil Shepherd. So
you don't choose when Cupid strikes you with that arrow. It's just the gods decided.
Yes, but also it's if you look at 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s Hollywood, there's some examples that would make you go,
I thought you were going to say
maybe that was the best road wasn't taken in that aspect.
I thought you were going to say yes, but if you look at 70s Sybil Shepherd, then all caution goes out the window.
I mean, that's also discussed in the episode. Sybil Shepherd in this all-time beautiful lady in a movie. Not to be outshined, though, by Jeff Bridges, who's, as discussed in the episode, shockingly young, incredibly handsome, but still has the exact same voice that he had in Big Lebowski or Crazy Heart or some shit. So going into the Last Picture Show, Peter Bogdanovich was a 31-year-old stage actor, film essayist, and critic. Bogdanovich had directed one film, Targets, which subscribe to our Patreon if you haven't already to find out our thoughts on that movie, working with his wife and collaborator, Polly Platt. As Bogdanovich later explained to The Hollywood Reporter, while waiting in a cashier's line in a drugstore, he happened to look at a rack of paperbacks and his eyes fell on an interesting title, The Last Picture Show. The back of the book said it was about kids growing up in Texas, and Bogdanovich decided that it did not interest him and put it back. A few weeks later, actor Sal Mineo handed Platt a copy of the book. I always wanted to be in this, he said, but I'm a little too old now. That's what Mineo told her. He recommended that Platt and Bogdanovich make it into a film. According to Bogdanovich, Platt said, I don't know how you make this into a picture, but it's a good book. Bogdanovich, McMurdy, and Platt adapted the novel into a film of the same name. After discussing the proposed film with Orson Welles, his house guest at the time, Bogdanovich agreed with him that shooting the film in black and white would work aesthetically, which by then was an unusual choice. That's definitely the case when you watch a movie from the early 70s and it's in black and white. In this particular case, it's intentional because of how just loud and vibrant the late 60s and early 70s were in all aspects. So
I think it's weird. No, not weird. I mean, I guess if you're friends with like a filmmaker and his wife / editor, you come up with an idea for a movie, you just go to them. You don't really think, oh, is this the right person? But I was just thinking, having watched Targets, if I read The Last Picture Show, like the novel, and I'm thinking, okay, who would adapt this? I wouldn't go to the guy who made Targets. It's a completely different movie, but I guess they're friends. So that Sal Mineo felt comfortable bringing it up and just saying, look, I don't know any other directors, but I think that you should do it. Meanwhile, Orson Welles is like in the guest room going like, I'm right here.
Where's my fucking toast? Upon selecting this is kind of expanding on what I just said, but upon selecting the town of Archer City, Texas as a filming location, production designer Polly Platt and director Peter Bogdanovich decided that the town should have a bleak, colorless look about it. After considering several options, such as painting all the buildings gray, Platt and Bogdanovich consulted with Orson Welles about the viability of shooting the film in black and white. Welles simply said, "Of course you should shoot it in black and white." Welles was a huge proponent of black and white photography because he felt that it always made the actors' performances better. It's a very interesting, very Wellesian take on that. I will say, in my personal experience with movies, especially as I get older, there can be an intangible and a weight that's expressed through emotion and film through black and white that a lot of times you don't get in color. Now, in 2024, I can also tell you that if your movie sucks or I can see through what you're doing by using black and white, that is like a huge deterrent and annoyance. There's a movie called The Artist that it's so easy to see through what they're doing, and it's just like,
I think
fuck
you're gonna say
off.
The Lighthouse, because I think that we had a little bit of a conversation about black and white when we did The
Oh
Lighthouse.
yeah, Lighthouse also didn't win Best Picture, Best Actor, all that shit. So I'll bury The Artist every chance I get. It's an okay movie, but I can see what you're doing. The Lighthouse is another great example. Thank you for bringing that up. Of like, okay, there's no reason this needs to be this way. On a positive note, though, I bring this up pretty constantly. Logan Noir.
Does it make the
As silly
performance
as it
better?
as silly as it sounds, it made the movie reverberate with me and like resonate with me more. I know that sounds crazy, and kind of like, why would it? But there's that version of history that says that James Mangold and Hugh Jackman wanted it to be in black and white for the theatrical release, and 20th Century Fox was like, "Get your hands off my phone."
We're gonna let
So
him say fuck, so just be happy with that.
yeah, exactly. If anyone listening to this has watched both versions of it and has a similar or complete opposite reaction to it, I just remember specifically, it's been long enough, I can spoil this, the shot at the end where the girl takes the cross and turns into the X, that in like the monochromatic color palette, or lack of color, I should say, was just like, fuck. So I think, circling back to our discussion du jour, our film du jour in the last picture show, the emptiness that the characters experience in this is heavily amplified by scenes of just the complete absence of color. I think it was definitely a risk. Unusual is the word that I found there in the writing. I think it paid off, though. I think
It doesn't feel like a
that's
gimmick. I think that's is what you're
no,
saying, right? When you're watching The Artist, when
yeah.
you're watching The Lighthouse, at least in our case, like it feels like a gimmick. You watch Last Picture Show, it doesn't feel like a gimmick. It just feels like, oh yeah, this is right. This is just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Now, Alex, I have to ask. You just opened yourself to this. Are you telling me that there's a pretty good chance that you watch Fury Road, the Chrome edition, and suddenly you like it a lot more?
I did leave myself wide open for that. So one, that would necessitate that I have the desire to sit down and watch Fury Road again, which is, that's the jury's still out. And I don't know. It could. It could. I I don't think that's going to be happening, though, because I know we have the other one coming out soon that'll probably be just a fine action movie, and people will act like it's, the greatest thing to ever happen in the history of cinema.
I wish I could remember what the last line of Fury Road is, so I could picture you like with that line playing, and you're just like wiping a tear. It's like, God damn it!
Fucking Miller, you got me. When Sybil Shepherd filmed her nude scene at the indoor swimming pool, the rest of the cast were not actually in front of her. They filmed separately, and only the cameraman, sound man, and director, Peter Bogdanovich, were there at the time. The real-life event was copied in the movie Irreconcilable. I don't know why I always have a fucking problem with that word. Irreconcilable Differences, with Sharon Stone playing the Sybil Shepherd type, and Ryan O'Neal playing a character modeled off of Peter Bogdanovich. In total contrast with the Last Picture Show, Stone later said that her nude scene was filmed on an overcrowded set with crew members almost fighting to get a glimpse of her naked body. One actor even yelled, "Move, I can't see her fucking tits."
Jesus Christ. Guys, have some class.
It did not always used to be better. I want to make that clear.
Alex, irreconcilable differences is on our docket, either main feed or Patreon, but I know that that's on the list. So stay tuned.
Well, there you go. Can circle back to that. That's, you hear about that a lot. Either the idea of the closed set during nude scenes or the
juvenile,
too many, where there's, sadly, with some actresses, they tell stories of just like, where the fuck did all these people come from? Now they're on set. And yeah, even if you are lecherous and like want to be a creep about that shit, it's being filmed. Just wait to watch the movie. Don't be a fucking weirdo to this person. I guess most famously in Contrarians history, talking about filming sex scenes would probably be Blue is Warmest Color, that elongated sex scene in that, where it was just the two actresses, Adele Exarchopoulos and Leah Seydoux, and then the director Abdulateef Keshishi. And even in that intimate environment, he still managed to make them both feel uncomfortable. Did discuss in the actual episode also that Sybil Shepherd had reservations about doing a nude scene, but was talked into it by a female co-star.
I mean, today you have what you call it, like intimacy coordinators, and there is more of a supervision. It's not, I guess, if you're an independent production, then it's kind of still the Wild West and you do it the way that you do it. But, a big Hollywood production, you wouldn't have like a mountain of like, crew, like grips and electricians and whatever piling over each other to watch the sex scene. I mean, that's just, that's a thing of the past.
It's also, yes, thankfully it is. And like now it's also a lot, there's not that loosey-goosey Wild West, like, what, when you sign on to do a movie or some shit, like if that's going to be there, not, to my knowledge, on like any major production now, they can't just spring that on you, being like, all right, nude scene now.
New pages. Here you go.
Yeah. Here's last night's rewrite. Peter Bogdanovich claims the crew disliked him because he always ate with the actors on location. He wanted to mold their performances without outside influence, and reportedly fired a crew member one day who told Sybil Shepherd that she should smile more in the movie.
Wow.
I
the classic.
Your boss always eats with you.
I prefer it if they don't. I like to eat by myself. It's like the one time where you get to take a break. You don't need Peter Bogdanovich breathing down your neck.
It would. When we worked together back in the day, when if we went on break together or something, if our boss went with us, be like, well, who are we gonna talk shit about now? So.
Oh, okay. So when you said the crew, I thought like the crew, not the actors. Like I was separating the two. So it's like he goes and eats with the actors, and the crew thinks that he's I don't know, segregating the team. Do you think that it was just that they were annoyed that he was just mixed up with everybody else, so they can't relax because Bogdanovich is there the entire time? I guess that makes more sense.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the story there, that he was just an ever-present, looming, I guess, threat, or just he was. It was like a rain cloud that followed everybody around. But worked. He got the performances he wanted out of people, so they could hate him all they want. Ben Johnson is the only person to ever win both an Academy Award and a Cowboy World Championship in rodeo. Much like Dave Bautista is the only actor to ever main event a WrestleMania and be featured on a Disney World attraction.
And be a Guardian of the Galaxy, yes.
He is Drax on that ride. They have that stuff they filmed for it with. There's one person missing in it now. I can't remember who it is, but the Cosmic Rewind. If you are a fan of roller coasters and Disney World, which you should be because Disney World's the greatest place ever, that thing is ridiculous. It's awesome. I rode it once. I think that might be the only time because I almost threw up when I got off because it's just like all over the place. But you feel like you're really one of the Guardians, man. And I believe this is mentioned in the episode, but to stick on the topic of Ben Johnson to bring us home here, at 9 minutes and 54 seconds, Ben Johnson's performance in this movie is the shortest to ever win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Well deserved. Not to spoil too much of the episode, but I think that's one of those easy go-tos for anybody that's trying to make a statement, say something about Last Picture Show without getting too controversial. You could just say, hey, Ben Johnson, that was a deserved Oscar win. That's it. I don't think that many people are going to fight you. I was just thinking, though, Alex, because you opened by saying something that I guess we knew because we watched Targets. That is that Bogdanovich, he was an actor, or at least, he acted. He acted throughout his career. I mean, you brought up in the episode, The Sopranos. And why do you think he felt that this was too important to cast himself in one of the parts? Because he's one of the main characters in Targets.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about it too much, but I think this might have been... it certainly feels like a director wanting to make a stand. And a lot of times, historically speaking, there are outliers like, Woody Allen and shit. But like a director's... their keystone film, their contribution typically does not have them in it. So I think he may, again, I don't know the story of this movie page and verse, but to me personally, I think he might have just been so enveloped with the idea and the work of this movie and wanting to make it good that he couldn't also entertain the idea of starring in it. I think part of the reason he's in Targets is budget constraints. It's like, well, fuck it, I got to do this anyway. So
yeah, and also I guess he was too old to play most of the characters. I mean, you didn't have the technology that we do now to maybe make him look 10 years younger, and so he couldn't play the kid.
We're still 5 years out from Grease, so we weren't quite ready to have the culturally 35-year-old high school students.
All right, well, that is the last house on the left. Oh, do you have more?
Well, it is not the last house on the left. It's the Last Picture Show. Perhaps one day we'll circle back to the Last House on the Left. Also a movie of the 70s.
Sad and lovely.
2009 remake. Yeah, it's just sad and miserable. I said we're closing on Ben Johnson, and we are, but I just want you and those listening to entertain the idea of Sam the Lion it was not for Ben Johnson. It was originally offered to Jimmy Stewart. But he had an obligation that he couldn't get out of. So, just think about it. Oh, Sonny, let me tell you about this watering hole that I went to one time.
No, I've seen a handful of Jimmy Stewart performances. I'm not a Jimmy Stewart scholar, but I can tell you that doesn't work. It doesn't work the way it does in the movie right now. So he doesn't belong in that town, Alex. That town is too dirty for Jimmy Stewart, too rough.
Sees Jeff Bridges getting on the bus to go to war. Hey, Dwayne, way to go!
Okay, now we're going to close this down. That was the Last Picture Show. Currently, our episodes should be on your podcatchers. Just check out the feed. Coming up next, we're jumping over to the PJ Hogan side of this summer event. It's a PJ party, and the first installment is the aforementioned Muriel's Wedding, Toni Collette's debut. Not on our main feed. This is the 4th or 5th time that we've had it on the show. Well, we've had her on the show, but PJ Hogan's debut on our show, and both of their debuts on real life. So stay tuned, watch Muriel's Wedding, watch Last Picture Show, listen to the Last Picture Show episode, and subscribe, and just be ready for that Muriel's Wedding episode. There's a lot more Bogdanovich and a lot more PJ Hogan to come, so you want to be ready. As usual, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll talk to you again soon.